Hello, hello, Michelle here. This is a new series where every couple weeks, I'll share a kind of mini training, if you will, about a topic related to time management. So, just to give you an idea about my beliefs around time management challenges, I believe that time management challenges are not just like an arrangement struggle, right? There are kind of two issues that kind of bookend the arrangement concept. So the first bookend to arrangement is core programming is kind of is a good way to talk about it is why do we act the way we do? Who taught us that? Why do we do it, right? Without the understanding of how that programming came to be and the awareness of how it's impacting us day to day, we will continue to struggle with the arrangement piece of time management. So the second bookend next to arrangement is having a clear direction. Only 2% of people have a written personal vision of where they want to go and who they want to be in their life, right? In any area of life. Without a clear direction to guide us, how do we know if we're taking the winding right like road forward towards it or if we turned and that path never comes back around, right? So with each video that I'll do, I'm going to share kind of a short story that highlights a component of this to kind of help bring these like academic concepts that I just shared kind of to life. Because when you have balance across these three areas, the overwhelm, the anxiety, the fear, the feelings of never getting ahead, like they start to fade, right? Because you start to have a process and you're operating from a place of focus, and that process allows you to operate from a place of focus and productivity. Okay. So today I want to talk about how keeping employees happy isn't about free snacks or good coffee or playing Nerf gun wars at work, right? And how that all relates to time management struggles. So, maybe a little backstory first. So, in the latter half of my 10-year corporate career, I had shifted from a very traditional work environment. I worked in hotel sales, and I transitioned into tech sales, software as a service in particular. At that time, I was approaching my late 20s, which is late 20s is very young for the hotel business, but it's not so young for the tech business. So it's a really fun middle ground. Um, the tech world, the lure of flexible work schedules, jeans instead of suits, 4 p.m. Office happy hours, tons of free non-hotel food, like brands that I actually recognized, right? Beverages that I actually knew, right? Apple computers and Gmail and the open concept like sales floor was very exciting for me. It was a huge driver for me to make that shift from hotels to tech. Um, I stepped out of corporate in 2018. And since then, I have this new perspective when it comes to like all those perks of being in corporate. And for those who are still in it or those who are out and building their own businesses, I wanted to share two particular things that if I had known and leveraged this knowledge or that knowledge back when I was still in corporate, how much more productive and how beneficial it would have been for me and my teams and my colleagues. So those two things are one, what's the money all for? And two, repetition is mandatory. So what's the money all for? Let's start there. Often I feel we just assume that people work to make money to live. Reasonable. It's a reasonable assumption, right? But living is so multifaceted and can mean so many different things to different people, right? And so it is critical for leaders to understand why their teammates and their colleagues work, right? Work is a vehicle. So understanding why is critical because the reason why is that person's internal compass. It is the driver of all their thoughts, their habits, and their actions at work, right? What does the income or if you do have employees who do have a passion for the type of work that you do, what does the income or passion for the work, what does it enable them to do? What does it enable them to achieve, right? What does it fulfill in their life? In my Do What Matters Most formula workshop, we dive deeper into creating our visions by role, like our way of being statements is another way to put it, to address this exact concept, right? Because a lot of people don't think about what their vision is for their life, what it really is all for, right? Because it's kind of deep stuff. What we find, I feel, with leaders, and I did the same exact thing, is that we ask a colleague or we'll ask a teammate or someone maybe we're interviewing, like why they chose this company, whatever company we're with or that they're in, right? And often that person will say, oh, the perks or the people or the type of work we do or the type of or the clients that we help, right? The problem that we're solving, right? And they aren't wrong. It's not a wrong answer, but we never actually learn what the true motivator is of that person, which is kind of the intent of why we ask that person that question, right? We don't need more, like, oh yes, this company is so great. We ask that question because we want to know what motivates that person and what is going to drive them to be successful in their role, right? So instead of why did you choose XYZ company? What we should really be asking is what the work and income that we'll do together in this company, in this business, what does it do for them? What greater life purpose is it a part of, right? And I believe when we get to know our colleagues and teammates in this way, we can take action and understand how to help that person be successful in their role, right? This piece is such a significant component of the kind of infamous work-life balance piece. Can you imagine what it'd be like for your teammates or your boss or just those that you work with day to day if they understood what your true motivation was for working, why you do what you do, how you guys could help each other grow professionally and personally? That'd be huge. So the second one is repetition is mandatory. So reinforcing through useful repetition of a skill set, it is so important, right? It takes so much consistent repetition in order to change a person's habit. But in corporate, what's funny is that the way that this is usually applied is by having like one lengthy like training meeting, right, on core values or on a new process, whatever it is, right? And maybe sending a follow-up email or maybe a couple post that meeting. Maybe they hang some posters up or put decals up on the wall, right? And then the executives they say versions, kind of boiled down versions of the content during company meetings or in emails or whatever it is, right? After the usual kind of, I call it corporate repetition, our colleagues know what is being asked of them. We know what's being asked of us, right? When we have our managers and our directors and our leaders asking us to implement these processes, if you will. But it seems that maybe 20%-ish are actually doing it, right? And maybe another percentage, who knows how much, maybe they do a small portion of it, but they only do it for a while before they stop and people let off the gas pedal when it comes to the reinforcing of the habit, right? This is the knowing doing gap. And it is costly to a business. It is costly to productivity, right? It's costly to performance, right? A fun way to look at this outside of the kind of meeting piece is, have you ever seen a top sales rep train the other sales reps on what they do that makes them be the top sales rep? And have you noticed that that type of training often doesn't level up the entire sales team to and where they maintain that new level post training? Like that's a clear example of the knowing doing gap, right? So I want to kind of connect this idea of repetition to the first concept, like what's it all for? That top rep has a clear direction on why they do the things that they do, for the process that they have, right? They show up differently than mid-level performers because they have a driver, they have a fire in them that guides them to achieve the way that they do. Okay. So, to achieve better results, the combination of step one and the repetition of the lesson is critical, right? And so, these are things that I wish I had understood at like a larger level before I left the corporate space, because this I did really well in corporate America. I would have done even better if I had understood this. Anyway, you can level up average performers by developing these two areas, right? In my Do What Matters Most formula workshop, we develop an annual process of creating goals in addition to the vision stuff I told you about earlier, and a weekly action of pre-planning, a simple process that is repeatable, right? The development of these three particular habits turned one sales team from closing an average of 17 sales a month to 34 after just 1 month of practice, right? Those additional 17 sales equated to over $2 million in revenue, right? That's what a business wants when we're reinforcing these types of habits and processes, right? Understanding that work is a vehicle to achieve something more in someone's life, and having a simple process to reinforce behaviors that produce results and productivity is critical, right? It's so simple, but it's not easy. So I practice and teach these three particular habits that I mentioned during my story: creating a vision, roles and goals, pre-week planning. These three habits create alignment for an individual in all areas of their life and address all components of time management struggles, right? It's one process, one formula that, leveraging it across all areas of my life, both professional and personal, um, has allowed me to do 1,600 more things. So this is in addition to what I was already doing, more things with less stress before I even adopted this process. Like it's amazing how this stuff can work. So as we come up on the new year and come up on the end of this training, if you are interested in learning about these three habits to help you with your time management struggles, please register for my December 2nd Do What Matters Most formula workshop at themini.balancedblueprint.com/2021. The link is also in my profile to learn more and to register. It will be hosted from 1 to 3 p.m. Pacific, and it is a free workshop with the purchase of the planner that was designed around the three habits. So I'll see y'all in a couple weeks for my next video training. Thanks all.